Hello, welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are going to be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the main story of Arknights. This is episode 16, Abnormal Spectrum. And today we are also going to be finishing off the last bits and pieces of episode 16 with this final part, until we have to wait for the next main story episode to release on Global. We're gonna finish off with the last couple of cutscenes that are left here in the chapter, and also one extra bonus cutscene. But before we get to any of that, as always, to anybody who bumps into the voiceover through this very episode, you can find the full playlist for the main story in the description box of this very video. And as always, with the main story, I would recommend going step by step and not skipping around. The main story is not really meant to be skipped around with. It builds up on itself, and it really pays off going in order. So if you have to catch up with the main story before getting here, I would highly recommend that. Playlist is right there in the description box, so enjoy. And if you have to catch up with any of the other stories that are both intrinsically and very lightly connected to the main story, they're also listed out in the description box of the video, so enjoy those too if you have to. And all I can say is, as always, thank you very much and enjoy. But for everybody else, this is, like I said, gonna be the finale with the last couple of cutscenes, and one extra bonus cutscene, which is gonna be the the operator record for Mantra. But before we get to that, quick little apology for this part being so delayed since the last part. But I did say it, I think, in one of the posts that I did on the community section of YouTube for the channel. But yeah. Kierak's story was happening. I had to dedicate a lot of time to that one. As this episode is going out, I am still finishing last little bits of it and and editing a ton of material. That last episode is probably gonna be like 3 or 4 times the length of this one. I don't know the length yet because I haven't edited the whole thing yet. But yeah, I had a lot of work with that one. Was a big story and was a pretty interesting one. But, and also for those waiting for that final part as well, apologies, but it's in the works, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. But yeah, apologies once more for the delay for this final part. But, as you will see in a couple of moments, this final part, these final couple of cutscenes, the extra ones that are unlocking with the extra items, plus the epilogue cutscene, well, all I can say right now is, the story pretty much ended in the last episode. The story for chapter 16 pretty much ended in the last episode of this voiceover series. And these last couple of cutscenes, they're not without any context, of course. All of these last couple of cutscenes are gonna be both peeks behind the curtain in some cases, and they're mostly there for the build-up for what I presume is both the next chapter and the side story that is going to be releasing before the next chapter as well, that also takes place in Ursus, which more than likely is going to have a follow-up from one of the things that you're about to watch today. But yeah, that is all I can say right now. But before we begin, quick little recap of the previous episode, and for those of you who want to skip, as always, in the description box are timestamps. There's chapter select, and there's also the YouTube navigation bar, so if you want to skip ahead, do so with those. But anyway, for everybody else, let's recap. So then, last time we began with a meeting between the Grand Duchess and a officer from the 4th Army. The officer was there to request silence from the Duchess as they begin with the suppression of the rebellion. The Doctor, Monster and Xenia, meanwhile, make it back to the laboratory just as it gets attacked. They manage to quickly send out a message to the others, but get dazed in the attack. However, someone does appear in that moment to pick them all up. We then continue with Rankin's group as they attack and successfully take the outpost, but get soon hit with the reality as the Ursin armies appear on the horizon and start shelling them. Mantra and Vetochki, meanwhile, have their own battle to fight against the Urodstvo. Mantra uses her arts to communicate with Vetochki in her mind and helps Vetochki remember her past. Vetochki then remembers that it was not only her parents that were killed one fateful day, but her grandma did also pass away. With the Urodstvo's hold on Vetochki now gone, its true face gets revealed, and Mantra goes on the offensive. The Urodstvo then tries to confuse Mantra with visions of Mantra's past, but she doesn't succeed, and Mantra, with the help of Vetochki, manages to wake up the other miners, from the Urotstwa's influence. The Urotstwa then, itself, just up and disappears into thin air. Just poof! Raidian then intercepts military communications and reveals that they are slaughtering all the miners in the far north. Mantra and Vitochki then team up one more time and with Mantra's help send a message spoken by Vitochki to every corner of Ursus to inform everyone about what is really happening in the far north. Rhodes Island then continues to evacuate the miners, but the army is catching up to them. In an attempt to distract the army, the miners turn around and start marching towards them and raise their torches high. It works, and they get bombarded almost immediately. As the miners start dying and more anger is in the air, Amiya absorbs all of those emotions and once more calls upon the Cerulean and Black Sword of Wrath. With it, she creates a wall of blue flame between the army and the miners, effectively stopping the attacks. As the shelling stops slowly, a truck appears out of nowhere with the Doctor, Monster, and Xenia on board. It's a Truckers Union truck, and the one driving it is Operator Crownslayer herself. And with that, Rhodes Island was once more united in Ursus. And yeah, that is pretty much where we left off last time, and like I said earlier, that was pretty much where where the main portion of the story ends. Everything that will follow that scene at the end will be pretty much just a quick wrap-up and foreshadowing for the future. So, let's begin without further ado with not the cutscene that is right in front of us, but the operator record for Mantra. So, this thing is called Ever Present, and it says, probably with the shortest text box ever for one of these, Hush, Listen. Before I click on Start here, I just want to say to prime everybody before we watch this, or you guys are gonna watch this, this is taking place in the past, so this is sorta a prequel. Doesn't really have too much to do with some stuff later down the line, but because of certain elements, I thought this is gonna be good to include as well. So, without further ado, let's begin. Remember, all we do is to preserve the honor and purity of Ursus. Even if we are not on the battlefield, we are always at war. To ponder, to judge, to question. That is the road to desertion. You shall listen, observe, and record accurate notes. That is all. Logic dictates that I should like my job, or at least be proud of it. But I don't feel anything about it either way. The man who was on the same detail before me was called in for questioning after he accidentally scythed into a hot mic. I don't know where he is now, and I don't much care. Still, I have to thank him. His failure showed me what not to do each time I walk into this room. I'm in position.
Roger that.
What has the target been doing today?
Same as before. She hasn't left her apartment. At 3:10 a.m., visitor 05 delivered food, water, and a medkit, and departed empty-handed 27 minutes later. There were no other visitors today.
Okay. I pick up the notebook on my desk and scribble a note in my log. No abnormalities detected.
Hello?
Is something wrong?
Just, who are we surveilling anyway? Do you know?
It's common for agents assigned to surveillance duty to not know the target's identity. The point is to keep them from seeing their target as an actual person. I, of course, do not break from that practice.
To be honest, after observing her these past few days, I don't think she's worth surveilling. When she removed her headscarf, she looked about as old as my grandmother. She hasn't even left her apartment. She's like any other old lady who has trouble getting around. She even needs someone to help her do her shopping. How could she possibly be capable of sheltering the infected? She hasn't even said a single word. Sometimes she uses sign language, but it's only to communicate with patients. What possible harm could she be doing to society?
As far as I know, we're not here to make judgments. If there aren't any abnormalities here, I'm going to sign off. 3rd Bureau Intelligence Collection Office Room 301, end of transmission.
Hey!
After turning off the speaker, I flip back through my notebook to the page on Visitor 05. Visitor 05 is a Sargonian who hails from the same town as the target and is, in fact, her most loyal patient, occasionally serving as her assistant. Visitor 05 has been one of the target's most frequent non-infected visitors while she's been in Ursus. 310. After putting on a pair of headphones, each ear plugged into different devices, I call up the audio file from 3 AM to 4 AM and start reviewing today's work. "3:11 AM. Visitor 05 enters the apartment." "Madam?" Mantra nods. The target says nothing. I hear a sound of rustling hair. "How are you feeling today?" Mantra shakes her head. Hair friction sounds at varying frequencies. I keep forgetting that I'm the one who's sick. Well, at least I don't have oropathy. Plus, I already feel much better, thanks to you. Oh, and here's 3 days worth of supplies. And that herbal pillow you talked about last time, I got someone to collect the herbs and make it. I know that people are going to start visiting you at 7 AM. Do you want me to stick around and help?" Mantra shakes her head and uses sign language. Rustling garments. The sound of moving limbs. From context, I can deduce that the target has signed, "No, thank you, I don't need help." Polite as ever. Well, I'll just sit here for a while then. Will you join me? 10 minutes. I'll sit here just for 10 minutes. Mantra nods. Breathing sounds. Boiling water. Sound of someone pouring tea. Footsteps. A door opening and closing. Visitor 05 remains at target's apartment until 3:37 AM. The time is now 6:55 AM. Only ambient background noises is detected in target's room. There are no indications of activity. There are knocks at the door. 2 heavy, 1 light. The target says nothing. The door opens. Various footsteps, both heavy and light. It sounds like the visitor is limping. This visitor always begins with a sigh, arrives earlier than expected, and has a leg injury. This one has already been recorded in the log as visitor 74.
This aching leg. Every time I leave you, it gets worse again. If I press my leg through the cloth the way you showed me, it gets a little better for a while. But as soon as I have to go out and work, it gets worse. Think of another solution, will you?
Mantra shakes her head.
Please, I'm begging you.
She uses sign language. The sound of moving limbs. Based on the visitor's subsequent reply, I can assume the target has signed, "Let me take a look."
It's here. The same old spot. The swelling is getting worse. Is there no way to treat my leg?
Mantra shakes her head and uses sign language again. It's hard to guess what the target is saying here.
Ah! Hot! Ooh, only put it on after my hands were red and burning. Mantra uses sign language. The sound of vigorous movement. Subsequent context lets us presume this is the sound of someone correcting the way the treatment is applied. Oh, so I need a cold compress? But it's summer. Where am I gonna find ice? Rustling garments. The sound of something being removed from a plastic container. Rustling garments. What's this? Mantra uses sign language. We can presume she signed, "This is for you." What is it? Medicine? You have pain medicine? But I can't afford it. Mantra shakes her head. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Rustling garments, various footsteps, both heavy and light. Many quiet, garbled thank yous. The door opens and closes. Visitor 74 leaves target's apartment at 7:11 a.m. Visitor 74, Visitor 12, Visitor 45, Visitor 07. Her patients stick around and she sees them at pretty regular intervals. New patients are rare. They usually show up because someone introduced her to them. The door opens. Hurried footsteps. The new visitor is wearing hard-heeled leather shoes. The footsteps stop. No one says a word. Rustling garments. It sounds like two people are moving, but no one says a word. The silence continues for 27 minutes. The only sound that can be heard are the sounds of limbs moving and rustling garments. We can deduce that they are using sign language to communicate, though we do not know why. The sound of plastic bag opening, footsteps of leather shoes, a door opening and closing. The person we suspect to be a new visitor leaves the target's apartment at 1:06 p.m. Based on past logs, the target takes her daily break at 1 p.m. Non-infected. They're all non-infected. It's been over 2 months since we increased the surveillance on her, yet the target has only interacted with non-infected. It's very easy to make a marginalized person living in the slums with no family or friends disappear. It is hard to use said person to lure out the infected. We only need one, and I can finish the job.
Hello? Do you read me?
I'm here.
The new visitor who arrived at the target's apartment around 12:40 is a noble who traveled here from deity Griffinberg. She entered the building wearing a disguise and left at about the same time that's you're recording in your log. Your deductions were correct. She used sign language the entire time. I have transcribed and translated the conversation. You can go to the records room to get a copy of the transcript. 301?
You aren't the one who was talking to me this morning.
I don't know what you mean. I'm the one who is talking to you now. Is there anything else I need to know?
Not at the moment.
Roger. I'll be online.
The visitor has her back to the surveillance team and is wearing a hat. Mantra uses sign language. Here the target says, "Please remove your hat. It's safe here." The visitor turns around, surveys the room, and removes the hat. The visitor and the target move to a different place, giving the surveillance team a clearer view of their movements. The visitor uses sign language as well. The visitor says, "I can't take it anymore." The rest of the transcript contains only translated sign language, verbatim. "I can't take it anymore. There are eyes everywhere. They're always watching me. I have no place where I can rest. Even when I lie down next to my husband at night, I just lay there, eyes open until the sun comes up. I have no idea who's been sending wave after wave of their minions here. The new butler even knows the name of my favorite childhood cloud beast. Even the panhandlers know where I go and what I like. It's so creepy." That butler. Perhaps it's his job to know those sorts of details. "Easy for you to say. You will never understand what it feels like to be constantly watched." "At least we are safe for the time being." The visitor's name has been redacted. "You can tell me how you're feeling, and I'll hear you out." "How do you know my name?" "Your husband told me. He thinks I'll be able to calm your mind, so you won't be so anxious all the time, so you won't feel like there are hidden eyes and ears trained at you at every moment." "I will not speak. I will not say a word to anyone, no matter who. That's just how I feel about this country. I cannot trust anyone here, including him, including you. So I think we should just continue communicating like this." The visitor then starts complaining about the omnipresent surveillance, the war, and the plight of the poor. During this exchange, the target soothes the visitor, offering some comfort before politely sending them on their way. "Are you still there?"
It appears that the target is still asleep. What do you need?
"I forgot to record the first visitor who arrived at the apartment today. Do you remember who it was?"
Visitor 05 arrived at 3:11 a.m. Any other questions?
"No, thanks." 3:11, not 3:10. His info was sourced from my records, not his predecessors. 1 minute. A problem, or a sigh. I hope I'm overthinking this. I need to quickly obtain definitive proof that the target has come into contact with an infected, or at least produce some tangible results. "Madam?" Mantra shakes her head. "I just heard." "I'm in position."
Roger that. You're 10 minutes late.
"I have a legitimate reason. I had to go to the 13th floor to turn in a report. When I came back out of the elevator, it was under maintenance. I had to take the stairs."
That old elevator is always under maintenance. So, have you found anything?
I submitted a full report on our surveillance of the target. I included a copy of the log from Visitor 97's visit. The Visitor 97 thing was all thanks to you.
You're going to snitch on the noble already? You really are impatient.
All we do is to preserve the honor and purity of Ursus.
Right, for Ursus.
For Ursus. What I do not tell him is, as long as the higher-ups on the 13th floor are willing to take 5 minutes to review the report, they'll all come to the same conclusion. The same conclusion reached by each and every individual that is served in my position. The target possesses no danger, so we can reduce both her threat level and her surveillance level. If they really can't figure it out, so be it. At least my report on the Venerable Visitor 97 will give me a tangible result to show for my recent work. It might buy me some more time. Maybe. The target is alone. Visitor 05 left an hour ago. There are no footsteps, nor sounds of the door opening or closing. However, without warning, humming sounds of various frequencies begin to resonate continuously throughout the room. I'm not sure what I'm hearing. What's that?
What's that noise?
Hey! Damn! Lost connection. The sound comes and goes intermittently. She might be sending some sort of signal. I'll use the spectrum analyzer. I'll use this microphone. Right. I'm gonna convert it into an electronic signal. There's the receiver. Now to analyze the code. Aha! It's a military identification code. I must decipher this message before the noise stops. I have to do it. Sullivan. A name, huh? One of the infected, maybe? I'm so tired that I don't even realize that it's also my name. Until you're also being...
Sullivan, you're also being listened to.
The sentence hits my mind like a lightning bolt. It arrives without warning, as if someone is right here speaking to me. The one who is listening in on others is also being listened to. Words cannot describe how I feel when that thought dawns on me. That damn thing isn't important. What's important is that the sound stops. The speaker returns to dead silence. Think about the elevator under maintenance and how there were more gendarmerie than normal at the entrance to the stairwell. This is just the worst kind of horror story. Shit!
Deserter. Surround them. Take him down and then send the second team to catch the damn doctor. Move out.
They didn't even lower their voices. It appears Ursus's patience has run out. But I cannot be disappeared. I cannot meet the same fate as all those who sat in this chair before me. I cannot end like the woman whose voice echoed from the speaker. I'm more familiar with this place than I am with my 60 Chervontsia a week studio apartment. I know how to leave this place without going through the front door.
Sullivan Smirnov. About that report you submitted today, we need you to tell us...
Whoever comes will only hear a sound that cuts off abruptly. I'm running madly through the streets. I didn't even realize that it's gotten dark out. Our office has no windows, only a narrow row of ventilation shafts, but they're wide enough for an adult male to crawl through. I laid in the alley, but I don't know where to go next. I'm sure that studio apartment has already been locked up. I can run for a bit, but I'll be captured. If I don't run, I'll also be captured.
But so what? Why is she telling me about this? Does this mean she knew she was being listened to, being watched the entire time? Just like that paranoid woman who visited her? Also, who is this voice speaking to me? With these questions in mind, I rush to the address that's burned into my memory. Phew. Forget this. I should run. The gendarmerie are all ready. The dilapidated apartment, which was once filled with sound, is now silent, save for the echo of my words.
The doctor has already made it across the LEITHANIEN border. She single-handedly moved nearly 100 infected out of Ursus and provided shelter for those who couldn't leave. She's quite impressive. By the time we arrived there, Ursus had already turned its attention to her.
It seems like we intervened just in time.
Yes. Ursus was a special case, but the methods she used to help the infected are still instructive for her future operations. The report is on your desk, madam.
Thank you for all your hard work, Mantra.
Mantra nods humbly.
You must be tired after spending so much time undercover.
Dr. Kaltsid helped me before. Now I wish to repay her kindness. Besides, I was just listening to her. I did not really have to go undercover.
This is your story. I understand. However, I hope that one day you can call Babel your home.
Madam.
I've gone off topic again. Go, take a rest, Mantra. I'm sorry that we can't give you even more time to recover. There are still voices all over the world that we need to listen to. I'm sure you've also heard the cries for help.
Mantra nods. Yes, I've heard them.
And that was the operator record for Mantra, and I think everybody can understand why I wanted to include that one. Mostly because of that final scene. That final scene has two elements in it that I was like, okay, this belongs in here. This belongs in this series just to be included. One is the obvious one, which is Theresa and Babel, of course. And yeah, like I said at the beginning before I let you guys watch the scene itself, the story is taking place during the Babel era and probably also towards the end of the Babel era. They didn't give a year during the whole thing, but yeah. It's also a very interesting operator record because most of it is taking place from the perspective of that one lonesome, I think he's a secret police or something. At least the recap when you click on skip tells you the guy was secret police, but I think that is also deducible very easily. The KGB. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the whole thing being from the perspective pretty much of him and him alone almost, and how they were interpreting what was happening in the room the entire time, how Mantra is communicating with everybody, and obviously they don't get that she is obviously also mentally talking to people and not just doing hand gestures and stuff like that. So yeah, very funny. But yeah, the final scene is literally why I wanted to include that one with Babel, Theresa, and mostly also because of what was said at the very, very end, which is the line by Theresa of where she asks Mantra if she can hear all the people calling out for help, and Mantra just replies with yes, that she can. And
that was the specific thing I wanted to include here with, because technically speaking, chronologically looking at it, it serves as a little bit of a foreshadowing of what happens here in the chapter where Mantra reaches out to quite the entire nation of Ursus and all people who are yelling out for and screaming out for help, right? Pretty much, yeah. Oh yeah, she can hear. She can hear far and wide. But yeah, that was the two main reasons I wanted to put that in here. So I hope you enjoyed. Outside of that, let's continue with our, well, epilogue cutscene for the chapter, which is 16-19, titled Oath of the Mad. There is something in our blood that is fundamentally incompatible with true progress. The only way to change it is to transform ourselves. Veterans Home, Deity Griffenberg.
This is my report on the Far North incident. I will submit my written report within 1 week.
Thank you, Lieutenant. But I still have questions. What you've mentioned, getting into the mining district, investigating the miners, evacuating them under the army's gunfire, those are merely the process. An event must have cause, process, and result, just like how crops grow from seeds and yield fruits.
I apologize for my poor presentation, Your High Excellency, but I have mentioned both the cause of the event and how we handle the aftermath.
All scattered information. You have described the details, but you have not seen the big picture. How can the reader understand what the writer fails to perceive? Have you forgotten how to write a report in the 5 years since you graduated from the military academy? Or do you want me to submit a fragmented, incomplete report to His Imperial Majesty? I can forgive your youthful errors, but Ursus cannot afford to wait.
I apologize. I will fill in the gaps in the written report.
We do not have the time to address the consequences of your omissions. The price of trial and error is too high. I need you to tell me, right here, right now, what role do you think Grand Duchess Elizabeth played? Were there signs of her association with the armies? As for the infected that we rescued, can they truly be of help to us?
I'm not sure I have sufficient information to talk about it in an informed manner.
You have experienced the events firsthand. No one is more informed than you. Speak, child. I will listen.
I believe that the Grand Duchess was simply going with the flow. She had learned about the Royal Guard's death and the miners' escape before we even planned to enter the mining district. All she needed to do was let a little information out, and the Fourth Army would have an excuse to clean up and proceed towards the Central Governorate under the pretext of quelling the rebellion. This way, the Grand Duchess could cover up the death of a Royal Guard on her watch, and the army can deploy on the borders of the Central Governorate, as it does now. As for why the army is doing this, I believe you know better than anyone.
They mistake the Tsar's benevolence for weakness. They will pay the price. I concur with most of your speculation, Elota. But there is one thing you are missing. The Urodstvo.
It disappeared. I could not confirm whether it was real or not, and I do not even feel the need to dig any deeper. After all, we witnessed the burning of the last Urodstvo with our own eyes.
You do not believe it was the Urodstvo who appeared in the far north?
I simply believe you know more than I do.
The troubling madman. A poisonous relic of an old era. I'll get to the bottom of it. Ursus does not need a Eurotstva anymore. Now, let us get back to the topic at hand. Were their goals accomplished, Lieutenant?
They failed to hush up news of the ore vein exhaustion, which leads us to your other question. Can the infected that we rescued truly be of help to us? In fact, they've already helped. The belt of torches on the ice awakened all the outposts around Lake Neva on the Gifenberg side. Every household in Ursus has heard their message. Ursus abandoned them. Who will be next? Everyone asks the same question. The newspapers, intercity comms, late night radio. The miners in the mines ask, the workers in the city ask, wealthy citizens ask, poor vagabonds ask, soldiers ask, students ask. The Grand Duchess expected the miners to die in the far north, but they survived, testifying to the exhaustion of the ore veins and exposing the inadequacy of the reforms. Slow, gradual improvement is not enough for the pressing needs of Ursus' development. We must act before even more people are fed into the hungry machine of the Empire. You said yourself that Ursus can no longer afford to wait.
You're digressing, Lieutenant. You said Rhodes Island helped the infected miners send a message.
Yes. Right now, however, we should focus on...
What do you think of Rhodes Island?
We should be vigilant. They demonstrated military-level coordination during the tracking and evacuation process, and they possess a natural advantage in their understanding of the infected. There are plenty of reasons to be vigilant.
Or perhaps their strength is something that we can leverage.
As far as I'm aware, Rhodes Island has no permanent presence in Ursus. Perhaps we can invite them to set up a branch office in Gryffindor or a nearby city.
Perhaps.
The Grand Duchess might strike first.
She's not one to be rash. Did you mention the name tsit to the Rhodes Islanders?
Yes, they said that tsit previously served as a physician at Rhodes Island, but had died in an accident.
Are you certain?
I've dispatched a unit to the scene of the incident to ascertain. From what we know so far, there is no reason to think otherwise.
Wilderness, Central Governorate Ursus, some time ago.
So, tsit is dead. The name the Chairman Witt extracted from the Chernobog lab files is no longer of use.
You're looking for tsit. Why?
Because of the sarcophagus, of course. Ursus needs its energy.
You know where it is?
I don't know the specifics, unfortunately.
But Witt gave you a name, tsit. He wanted you to find tsit through us. Witt trusts you.
Of course. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent me alone. Sent me to the far north alone. Yes, he trusts me. It's the duty of a soldier to follow orders, and it's not my place to complain, even if I should die in the far north. But it shouldn't be this way. Miners and civilians were massacred, but the Grand Duchess gets out unscathed, and the army is able to deploy a stone's throw from Gryffindor with no consequences. This isn't how things should be. How can I go back like this?
Lieutenant Gorchakova, if I told you there was a way to bring tsit back to life, what would you do?
What? Are you joking? How is that possible? Is this tsit like the Fae of Legend, able to return to life whenever she wants? Wait a moment. The chairman did say that the secret police once believed Director tsit to have died in that incident. But... you just tell me like that? Did you think I would trust you the same way in return? You're not even Ursin. What if some of us used to be? You... Even if you really do know nothing, we won't forget that you once stood with us there, helping evacuate the infected. We appreciate what you did, Lieutenant Gorchakova, even if you don't need our thanks. Am I right? Tell me, and I'll listen, once again, as a child of Ursus. Alright. I knew I couldn't resist the chance to awaken a straying Ursin's identity. What I know about the sarcophagus is very limited.
Lieutenant?
I'm sorry. I think I got distracted.
It's alright. Bad habits of the elderly. I can't stop myself when I start talking about the motherland and our future with the youth. Perhaps you really do need rest. I've taken up too much of your time.
No, Your High Excellency. I was simply thinking about what you said.
Get some rest, Lieutenant. Unlike the far north, Griffenburg still sees some daylight this time of year. Do not forget to finish your report once you've rested.
As the mines begin to reopen gradually in the northern tundra, the Third Army casts its gaze towards the central governorate. The Fourth Army continues its illegal presence on the border of the central governorate. All citizens are advised to respect the cordon and refrain from traveling to the Lake Neva area. The First Army has begun to conscript students from dozens of universities in the central governorate, without authorization from the State Council. Student protests across the country are being bloodily suppressed. The 2nd and 7th Armies have been mobilized in response to Griffenburg's request.
That's all you see in the papers these days. I've got a cousin going to school in the central governorate. I haven't heard from her in a while.
Did you hear?
Uchtelnica Koshelna didn't go to the Griffenburg Imperial University. She went to the mines to teach the miners how to read. That's so brave and selfless of her. I want to follow in her footsteps when I graduate. I hope we'll see her again. Don't listen to everything you read in the papers. It's all bad news to make us anxious and demoralize us. And the student council is holding a protest in AEGIR Memorial Park. Are you going?
Of course.
Me too. There's a lot of movement in the military. Student and worker strikes are taking place all across the country, but they're being suppressed even swifter and more harshly than before. Also, the Griffenburg police recently arrested a student from literature department attempting to graffiti the Grand Hall of the State Council. I heard the Petarchevsky group is soliciting donations and trying to get him released. It's true. I checked with them. Every underground tabloid is spreading the news about him and the words he wrote on the walls of the council hall. The underground tabloids are printing far quicker than the censors can keep up. Let's put that in the next letter to Sonia. They should be on their way back to Griffenburg, come to think of it. Right away. There are curfews everywhere. There's no guarantee they'll make it back on schedule. Yes, I hope things go smoothly on their side. They will.
Getting in wasn't that hard.
Just because I hacked the monitors doesn't mean you can let your guard down. They say the session has been suspended indefinitely, but they could also resume at any time. The corridor leading to the meeting hall is still being patrolled 4 times an hour, not counting the time it takes to get out. You have 8 minutes to leave your mark.
Break something and take a piece?
actually mean something?
Well, I'll think about it. Why do I have to dress like this anyway? It's not like my normal clothes are all that conspicuous.
You're wearing a Griffenberg plumber's uniform. They don't have a seat on the council, but they have access to the council hall, and they're responsible for maintenance work throughout the building. While there's no way for students like us, complete non-producers, to gain access to the council, much less gain any real influence. Why am I even explaining this all to you? I'm hanging up. You have 6 minutes. Botani out.
Ugh. What should I do? 6 minutes, huh? The student in the plumber's uniform casts his gaze towards the end of the council hall, where the symbol of Ursan divine glory shines bright on the wall. He thinks for a moment, then squints and pulls out a can of red spray paint. Brecken is not on duty today, but his colleague, who lives next door to him, sent his youngest son to his place and asked him to take his shift today, because he had a fever and a splitting headache. Brecken, being the kind-hearted man he is, agreed. Scarcely could he imagine what he would see when he walked into the council hall. Kusudar Batyushka! The golden symbol on the wall is fully covered in red paint. Beneath it are words written with the same red paint, in the Ursan language. Victor displays the emblem of the vanquished for his vanity, but he will forever stand in the shadow of the vanquished, if he cannot cast it away. Yakov Petrov, penned in prison in the autumn of 1076. Abnormal Spectrum, Episode 16. End. This is gonna be one of those scenes that is gonna be super important going forward. Like, really important going forward. Because of pretty much every single bit that has happened in this single epilogue scene. Also, very interestingly, and I presume this is purely because we have like 4 of these EG cutscenes, these extra cutscenes that are unlocking with the bonus materials. There is no post-credit, like usually after the title screen, episode number, and the word end, there'd usually be like still like a 5-minute cutscene or something like that. Well, I don't think every single chapter had one, but most of them I think have one, and it's usually something else that teases, but I guess because we have now 4 extra cutscenes to go through, we don't get that. So kinda surprised by it, but also not really. But anyway, this is a very important cutscene. Very important cutscene. Number 1, we see the repercussions of the news of the Orvain exhaustion spreading throughout Ursus, how much people are pretty much up in arms already, how they're also pretty much choosing sides, showing discomfort, the whole graffitiing there at the end as well, and a slight little teaser to the aforementioned side story that is also going to be taking place in Ursus. I believe, what was the name again? I think the name was People are People, right? I think that was the title of the story. But yeah, the side story that is taking place in Ursus that is going to include our teddy bear squad. Seemingly at least. I don't know the details, I have not watched the trailer, so shush about any of that. Do not talk about it, I only know the title and the unit coming with it. But yeah, outside of that, People are People, I think, is gonna pretty heavily include our teddy bear squad, as shown by Rosa and Absinthe, who were here at the end as well, and they seem to be in talks with the other people of their squad. So yeah, we're gonna definitely be getting a lot of teddy bear action very, very soon. For people who have still not gone through the Children of Ursus story and don't really know much about our teddy bears here, I might highly recommend it. It's a very depressing story. Very. But yeah, I can only highly recommend that one to go through it. But yeah, that's one part. The other part
is or rather the final part is Aloysius and Chairman Witt. Now, it seems that Chairman Witt is part of the party that is trying to push for these new reforms or new order in Ursus. But what I find very interesting during the conversation between him and Aloysius is that Aloysius did not report everything to him. She seems to be very loyal to him, but then again, Aloysius, as we saw in the main chapter, seems to be way more loyal to the Tsar, which is also very interesting. But during the conversation, she did not tell Witt one specific thing, and if it isn't too obvious what it is, it's part of the small little flashback with her conversing with the doctor, and the recap when you click on skip will tell you directly. She did not tell Witt that she already disclosed all the information she is privy to about the sarcophagus, which pretty much means that number one, she already chose a side which she wants to align with, but also how much she trusts Rhodes Island in general. And again, from what we saw about Aloysius in the story so far, she was very impressed with what Rhodes Island has been displaying, and probably sees a lot of potential going forward, which is very important. Which is definitely very important. But anyway, before I talk more, we're gonna talk more later. Let's begin with our first of 4 cutscenes. So once again, all of these EG cutscenes, the numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10, which is very funny that we got 4 of them in one go in one chapter. But all of them can be unlocked by just either completing the stage itself, you get the item as I've shown throughout the series, or you need to do something specific on the stages, as I also shown in the previous episodes. So, let's begin with EG7. Incoming mail. Rankin, we made it. The village near the Ursus Casimir's border, where reunion is. This warm, egalitarian, idealistic place. Barren farmlands, Ursus Casimir's border.
Another sunny day. I don't seem to remember any winters ever being so warm. How wonderful. As long as the wheat we're planting survives the winter and we don't hit a catastrophe, we'll be self-sufficient next year.
It's a little too early to celebrate, after all I've been through.
Come on, have a little optimism, Babushka. There was a time we thought we'd have nowhere to go, that we'd just die in the barrens. But now, we have our own farm, a house, and hot porridge. Huh? Who's over there? It's Miss Tallulah and Nine! Miss Tallulah, do you come here to help pulling weeds?
Tallulah, she's talking to you.
Yes, that's right. Am I doing it wrong? I saw everyone doing it this way, and the weeds here have grown pretty tall. So tall you can't see the wheat. No, you're doing it right. Pulling the weeds out will help make sure the wheat gets enough nutrients to survive the winter. You're such a quick learner. You've already pulled so many, and you haven't hurt a single wheat pod. Looks like you don't need my help anymore. You thought as well. How's Yakov, by the way? The new medicine he's been taking is very effective, thanks to you. He used to writhe in pain until he fell out of bed at night, but no more. Be sure to take care of yourself too. I know. Honestly, this is already much better than what I was expecting, getting to keep him by my side. Thank you, both of you, and bless the reunion movement. No need to thank me. It's been 2 years, and you still feel uneasy when people show you their gratitude. I thought you have gotten used to it long ago. Well, I'm not the one they should be thanking. Sure enough. They're united under Reunion's banner, but they should actually be thanking themselves. Not everyone has the courage and ability to rebuild their lives from the rubble. I hope they'll realize that. And you might want to realize how obvious it is when your mind is drifting away. I was just wondering, when is he or she going to come back again? Don't tell me you're worried about her. Every time she's here, she brings back news. Catastrophe messengers avoid this dispute area, and normal ones won't so much as pass through. The information network we've spent 2 years building up is still far from comprehensive. I'm waiting for he or she to bring something more real. What kind of news do you want to hear? Anything. I want to know what's actually happening in Ursus right now. You don't believe what we saw in the West. What, you do? The upper class gave a little handout out of kindness, and that was enough to quell the anger for the most part, and enough to make those beset by injustice forget to think and resist. At the very least, we certainly did not receive any requests for help from the mining districts, whether from the west or even further away. Perhaps they just don't know of our existence, or they can't reach us. Besides, we still have yet to build a truly stable stronghold here. But the people here haven't lost hope in us because of it. But they should, Nine.
Tallulah looks back in the direction where the sun is hanging high in the sky. She stares into its light until her eyes start to hurt.
Even if our village is almost self-sufficient right now, an unforeseen catastrophe could easily wipe everything out in one fell swoop. The first couple of months saw it happen again and again, and it took much trial and error for us to make it here. But these peaceful days won't last long. I once believed that after our long journey, we'd have more companions leave us than remain. I never would have thought our group would grow larger. And it's not because we ran into more oppressed people. It's because those who chose us haven't lost faith in us, even if they ought to have. All we've done is show them a bit of kindness, and most of them chose to give unconditional trust in return. Even after they've felt the pain of survival time and again, their barren lands can still yield these emotions more precious than gold? After all that, I can't even imagine. Which is why I start to think, what if it's just how everything is supposed to unfold? This is the truth that these humblest people believe. They fall down, they get back up. They fail, and they start over. What's your point? We will fail again, Nine, but I think we don't have to fear this anymore. Well, you're wrong. I've never been afraid of it. But those who walk with us have felt that fear. After all, not everyone has such a grand outlook as you. Many of them just hope to see the next sunrise.
Nine, the new suppressant pipeline's finished. Should we put it to use right away?
Valia.
Yeah?
If I were to tell you we're abandoning this place and heading to Deity Griffinburg, what would you do?
Of course I'm coming with you. Why?
What about the others?
Them too. We knew all along that the reunion wasn't going to stop here. But I don't think all of us should go. Everyone's been doing different things here for a while. Those of us who can fight should go with you, but the rest can stay here.
You're right. Nine, it's just as he said. I think perhaps we're ready now. We're ready to face the hideous truth hiding behind all that's bright and colorful. After they've long taken root and proliferated, they can't all be pulled at once. In such a case,
We can only keep pulling away, a second time and a third time, for as long as we live, until someone finally succeeds. Now that we know who we must bring together, the time may have come to break these shackles, and we should do it without hesitation. Uniting all those who can unite, and breaking all chains that should never have chained us. We need only a single opportunity.
Tallulah? 9? It's, urgent.
What is it, Red? It's not like you to look so nervous.
I ran into a group of refugees near the village. They said they're miners who escaped the far north, and they're here cause they've heard tell of reunion. I checked them over. They're unarmed, and they're all infected. I had them wait at the sentry post. We need to decide what to do.
From the far north? We haven't heard much from there. What do you mean they escaped?
Yeah, not much intel ever leaks out of there. As for what happened, maybe it's better you hear it from them.
Thanks. Thanks for taking us in, kind lady. Mister? Are you the reunion movement we heard about? I never would have thought what Rankin told us was true. My goodness. Slow down. We are reunion, and we will do what we can to help all our suffering comrades. Could you please tell us what you've been through? There was a massacre in the far north.
I was honestly not ready for Farm Girl Tallulah. I will be honest. But yeah, that is definitely something that happened here. But yeah, Reunion has definitely established a village for the infected near the Kazimirzian border, as Rankin was told and heard about. And hey, some of the miners actually made it to the village, and they can now have potentially a nice and peaceful life if no one comes around to bother them. But yeah, Tallulah and Reunion, once again they get teased, but depending on, or rather seeing how the cutscene ends, it seems they're gonna be on the move again very soon. Now, is the move gonna be happening in the actual next story chapter, or is it gonna be in some separate side story that is gonna be just covering Reunion? I do not know, and I specifically want to emphasize I do not know, because chapter 17 and the other already mentioned side story in Ursus are out in Chinese. Please, for those people who know, shut up. No one needs that information right now. Especially for people who are watching this chronologically. We don't need that information. Keep that for when we get to those stories. But yeah, I don't know what this is gonna lead to, but Ursus. But Tallulah is definitely seemingly gonna go on the move, and Reunion seemingly with her as well. And that's gonna be interesting. I mean, definitely the indicator so far is that Tallulah has been doing her research and has been gathering intel on the scales of the deathless black snake, which is very interesting. As a quick reminder and just one proper clarification of the whole matter, the person we knew as Cachet, who was one of the scales of the black snake, was just one of the scales. The person, the flesh body, was Cachet, but the black snake was the thing inside of the body's head, the one piloting essentially. And the deathless black snake is capable of essentially implementing the idea of itself into other people's heads and pretty much taking over, as we saw. I mean, we saw the whole thing happen with Tallulah, right? But Tallulah fought back at the end finally and regained control of herself. But most other people don't really have that luxury, it seems, and they just get taken over and they keep on being piloted as the snake keeps essentially just spreading his idea of an Ursus into other people's minds. Essentially, as as yucky as that word is, the Deathless Black Snake is essentially grooming grooming the generations that are coming up in Ursus to be of a specific idealistic mindset, which is crazy. Also, thinking about this whole chapter, I've said this in a previous episode, I did compare both the snake and the Urotsuo to seemingly being like very, very heavily inspired by the Yellow King and Cthulhu. And I think I'm kind of seeing it more and more as this progresses. The Urotsuo is definitely something that stems from either like a Cthulhu mythos, like a Lovecraftian mythos, and definitely is very SCP coded. It's definitely a cognitive hazard, while the Deathless Black Snake is very Yellow King coded, like the original Yellow King, not the Lovecraftian version of the Yellow King. An idea that exists in the Society of Arts and theater and literature, and is just spreading from person to person who gets essentially infected by the idea of the king. And I think the Deathless Black Snake is very much inspired by it. At least it seems to me that way. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this leads to. It's very interesting because they've been they kept teasing Reunion for so long at this point that finally something happening is. I mean, it's been a long time coming, honestly. But I do like one thing about the cutscene, just to finish it off. There's one thing I like about the cutscene, and that is to see how the relationship of Tallulah and Nine has changed over the years. I mean, Nine laughing and having just a nice chill conversation almost with Tallulah. Seems that she definitely acknowledges her to some degree. Because, again, as a reminder, in earlier iterations and during the little bits in Victoria still, Nine was still pretty pretty rigid towards her, but it seems that over time they grew closer, potentially. In a way, which is nice to see. It's nice that she realizes that Tallulah and the Reunion movement back then were pushed into a very rigid corner by the Black Snake. But yeah, Nine is definitely a very idealistic person at this point. I do wonder what they're gonna do with Nine in the future as a character. But again, we're gonna have to wait for that, either for the next main story chapter or for some side story covering Reunion. We'll see. We'll see what comes first. But anyway, we move on to our next one. EG-8. Events of the past. A sunken city resurfaces. An abandoned mining lamp is relit. Anything can happen in times like these.
The guns have stopped. Can we go now? Not upwards, but down before the bombs reach us.
Get up, Yuri, and the rest of you. We need to find Rankin and the place he was talking about. You know the bravest ones of us have all left with Rankin to take the outpost. The bombing stopped, and we don't know what's going on up there. The only way to find them is up. Either way, we save them or, as Rankin said, remember them. Crowell, hold yourself on with your pickaxes if you can't walk.
But Rankin gave us his mining lamp.
Do you remember what he said?
He didn't say anything.
That's right. He didn't say anything. This is no different from the supplies that they left behind. Or we can choose to leave it here. As a reminder. Yes, a reminder. Leave the lamp in the mining cart, the one that we pushed all the way here. If anyone ever comes through, I remember that you can write, Yuri. We've got some blank pages at the back of the logbook. We might as well not waste it. Come here, I'll tell you what to write. If anyone comes, at least they'll know what happened here.
A mine, Northern Tundra, Ursus, Winter 1101.
Sir, where are we going? I don't think the factor is this way.
Shut up and keep walking. I said walk!
The mines have stopped again. So nothing for the processing plants to work with. Where would they take us if they don't need hands upstairs?
They direct even the sickest ones out of their beds. Half the mine is here. I don't want to keep walking. I don't want to die.
Shh.
Go through the forest to the lake. That's where you'll meet your end. Don't even think about running away.
Heavy military boots step on the snowy forest floor, moving forward, urging forward. The miners are being escorted by far more than just a few men.
Here, stop. Let's begin.
Everyone, on the ice.
No, sir, please! Look.
The saber cuts her throat, spilling hot blood on the soldier's armor.
For the glory of Ursus.
Boże mój.
Proceed.
Next, fill the gap. Hurry!
Why do we have to be treated like this?
Shut up, you book.
Were the Tsar's promises all a lie? Are our lives worth less than that of a burden beast? Tell me!
As the soldier is about to raise his hand again, the rumbling of the ground becomes perceptible. It starts with a tiny crack from the surface, from the deep below, before snowballing quickly. The ground trembles, and the center of the lake collapses. The result of geological changes accumulated over time swallows the infected on the ice, and their would-be executioners.
Run!
The miner shakes off the stunned soldier and runs in the direction they came from.
Catastrophe! It's a catastrophe!
Soldier, miner, killer, victim. The vast Lake Angara accepts all and delivers all. Beneath the ice, an ancient nomadic city rises as the terrain changes, emerging through the sheet into the light of day. The old-style buildings and the writhing faces of the dead look the same as they did when the city sank. Reconstruction District, far north, Ursus. Northern tundra, catastrophe, lake. All those words crammed in this tiny space, and I only recognize 3.
You'll learn them in time. The lessons here are too basic for me. I'm planning to take over the work at the mines, which has been left unattended for a while, and maybe learn a craft other than shoe repair. Once the curfew is lifted, I want to go to deity Griffenberg.
I don't want to go to Griffenberg. I just want to learn to read. 3 words a day makes 21 a week. In 1 month,
I'm glad to see your eagerness. Do you need help?
These words still confuse me, Gospodja.
You're talking about these nouns, right? That's the lesson for this week. We're learning about nouns.
Nouns, yes, nouns. I think I'm starting to be able to tell them apart. But I can't quite get their meanings. What's this, Shimok?
It's Simonch. It's a name, like the name Angara, the lake, or your name, Vova. It's the name of a nomadic city.
youth bids his classmate farewell and goes into the mines, ready to get to work. Mine tunnels left unattended gradually wear down and eventually collapse. He will not allow it to happen, as long as he is still here. The young man raises his mining lamp and begins his rounds, examining all the rail until he finds a mining cart at one of the forks that does not belong to this place.
This is a mining lamp and a letter. This was once the place of a struggle. Damn it! The people who proposed connecting the mining districts were here. They wanted to occupy that garrison outpost. I knew the story was true. Whoever's lamp this was, it's in good condition. Maybe a little dusty, but it still works. Maybe I should take it to Griffinburg and show everyone. This lamp without a name, and those people without names.
Now this is a very interesting one. Like the description of EG8 says, a sunken city, huh? I wonder if this is gonna be where the sarcophagus is right now, cause that thing just seemingly coming out from the ice of a frozen over lake, a old lost Ursian city that was seemingly covered up by water and frozen in ice. I wonder what this is gonna be now. We'll see. It's definitely very interesting. And also in the cutscene we do see Koshelna, as mentioned in the final epilogue cutscene in this one. By the students. She was in the north at this point, teaching the miners how to read and write, and we see her here, and she mentions a couple of very interesting names, one of them being the lake itself, which again is just another signal of, yeah, this is more than likely gonna be something that plays a role in the next story chapter, considering we're gonna be staying in Ursus for a while, but yeah, interesting. I don't know what to say about that city, outside of interesting. A old-timey city, or at least the buildings on it are old-timey, and that grim description of the people who were left in the city as it was covered by freezing water, still being there and just frozen in the moment. Ugh. That is grim. That is a grim fate. And the final thing, however, in the cutscene is very interesting and just shows how a rebellion of this caliber is actually moving, essentially. Basically, while the main force that Rankin was leading, seemingly all of them got wiped out. Again, we did not get a confirmation if any of them made it out. The people who stayed behind and were hiding in the mines did make it out. At least some of them make it out, as we saw. They did reach the reunion village at the border. Yeah, we still don't have full confirmation about what happened there, outside of the assumption that, yeah, probably all of them died. But considering that they make it a point here that the lamp that belonged to Rankin, that was left behind with the message, is now potentially gonna be carried into the heart of Ursus, which is deity Griffinburg. Oh boy, that's a powerful message to carry into the heart of the nation. Good God, that is what's gonna probably spark the next set of a united rebellion against the current government and the current laws and stuff that is in place and regime in general. But yeah, it's definitely a very foreshadowing, and that final moment of the cutscene is definitely a very powerful speck of light in the darkness that's gonna definitely carry something into the future. But we'll see. Once more, we'll see what that brings us. Anyway, we continue on to the scene EG-9, titled Homecoming. When the guns cease and the screams grow quiet, I'll be back by my mother's side, like when I was born.
All units, this is dispatch. All units, cease fire immediately. We have an urgent request from deity Gryffindor. Repeat, all units, cease fire immediately. Please acknowledge.
Scope of the ceasefire.
All active units!
Acknowledged.
Inform Lieutenant Yelchin and ensure that all units in the 2nd Division observe the ceasefire.
All units remain on standby. Maintain battle stations. Until the threat is completely eliminated, we shall continue to serve our duty to protect deity Gryffindor and the people.
Summon the Quartermaster.
Sir, we do not have a quartermaster for this operation. You expected this to be only a quick response, and that it would not take much time to eliminate the rebellious infected.
A response to dispatch as usual. And what is your name, soldier?
Private Vyacheslav Kinov, sir.
Very well. Inform the lieutenant, Private Kinov. Your services are not needed here for now.
You had me leave my post to come to you for this little thing. You're out of your mind.
Oh, look at you, Patya. All high and mighty in that shield guard armor. Does that pretty helmet of yours block your sight? The maggots in the rations, bolts that snap like twigs, even duds. Is this what they sent us to die with?
There are maggots in your rations. You eat them with the rations. The weapons are hard to use your bare hands. We're soldiers. We fight and win. There are only two ends. Keep fighting or die.
You're the one who's out of his mind.
If you find that someone hasn't been doing his job, you report to your superior, not complain to me here. I'm not the quartermaster.
I thought the defender regiments were supposed to be on the top deck.
Sorry, sir. I was away from my post. I will report this to the commissar myself.
The cold soldier salutes. Sir!
What did you find out, soldier? Tell me the reason for your anger.
The quality of our supplies and equipment of this operation is exceedingly poor. The rations are insufficient, the cans damaged and filled with maggots. Many of the bolts were not made of steel, but crude iron. And the reserve originium bombs are so weak that they're little more than glorified duds. How are we supposed to proceed the operation with these?
Why did you enlist, soldier?
To,
Speak up.
to prove myself. I want people to know my name. Like they know yours.
They'll know your name when the army sends your tags back to your mother, and she etches them on a white birch tree.
No, not like that.
There is little room for the individual to choose when the collective is at war. But keep this hope in your heart, boy, and your discovery too. For the survival of Ursus and her people, there is only one option. Set this land on fire.
So, this was a bit of a behind the curtain look at the Ursus army and their current state of affairs, I would say. A very important look, honestly, because as we've seen throughout the story, the Ursus army is really not shying away from showing their might and showing their firepower and everything and having everything pretty much on display. But it seems that is probably a very big ruse. As we've seen from this cutscene on one of the ships, yeah, they are very understaffed, under-equipped, understaffed. The weapons they are carrying are, they might as well not be called weapons at this point. And yeah, it's very interesting, very, very interesting, and kind of makes sense. I mean, they just lost their main source of resource, which was the colossal vein that just up and disappeared because of seemingly because of Priestess. Obviously they don't know that, but they just know that it disappeared. But yeah, seeing that they're pretty much just strutting their feathers, showing what they have, but what they have is sticks and stones essentially, and cardboard weapons. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. They're just showing their might because they can't obviously show that they have weakness. Again, the whole reason why they were suppressing the miners and killing them, if it wasn't obvious already, is literally because if the news of the vein disappearing gets out to other nations, the other nations look at them and are like, oh, easy target. Right? And yeah, it's very interesting what we see here. Yeah, they're pretty much just strutting around and showing themselves as, oh yeah, we're still powerful. We can still do this. Who's gonna... You? I mean, just to be fair, they're obviously not weak. They're obviously not weak. The equipment they have is still valid. They can still do damage with it as we've seen. But behind the curtain, ooh, they are working with literal duds. They're working with literal duds. I mean, the very thing that opens this cutscene is, if I can find it here, yeah, it's the unexploded dud. That was the thing that opens up this cutscene. So, you know, kind of fitting for the cutscene itself. But yeah, anyway, after this look behind the curtain, let's finish off with the final scene. EG10. No way forward. The charity of the virtuous shall reach every corner of this great land.
It hurts. The rocks are piercing the flesh. I can almost hear them growing. Why am I still alive? I'm exhausted. I can't feel my limbs. Run to the east. Death awaits in the south. Death awaits in the north. In the west, the mines there are a dead end, just like those in the far north. I can run from the far north. But how do I run from pain?
Far northern border, Ursus.
I can't run anymore. This is it.
Is someone there?
I'll take a look.
No, please, let me. I can sense that it's only a poor soul who has suffered much. Exhausted, dehydrated, starved. You're infected too.
He's one of us, comrades. Please save him, just as you saved all of us.
Perform your miracle. It's not a miracle. Ripathy is not the main reason for his pain. I can only stop his illness from tormenting him, but I cannot give him food, clean water, or a safe place to sleep. I can't perform miracles. I'm not all-powerful. I simply believe.
You're always so humble. We understand.
Can you hear me, sir? I'll hold your hand. Believe. Believe in our life. Believe in our body and mind. Believe every beat of our heart. Believe every inhale and exhale. Believe that we are the source of all strength. No longer will we live in fear of death.
The pain brought about by the rapid growth of Raidian in his body began to fade. He can still hear the voices, but he is no longer writhing in pain.
Who are you? You saved me. What can I do to repay you?
You can call me Hierda, like everyone else here.
A miracle! Hierda was again saved our comrade! She saved all of us. With her motherly caress, she takes away our pain. Hierda! 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 Hierda!
Yes, that is my name.
What do you look like? I can't see you clearly, or any of the others.
Your head is wounded. Did you fall and hurt yourself? Maybe a mild brain hemorrhage is affecting your vision. Don't worry, we can help you walk. Where are you going?
I don't know.
Then come with us, for now.
You're taking us to a place without pain, right?
Yes, as long as you're willing to come with me. As long as we believe.
This bunny is really just Jesus Christ. Hierda is really just turning into bunny Jesus. Unwillingly so, but then again, she just wants to help people out. But the people who are getting helped out by her seemingly believe she's the second coming of whatever deity they believe in, so, oh boy. Oh, I am terrified. I am legitimately terrified where this is going to lead to. A religious movement that is coming from this is definitely going to be something to contend with in the future, especially a religious movement that is linked to a person who is linked to Priestess and the assimilated universe. Oh god. And then we have the whole thing of the disappearing of the colossal vein as well on top of it. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with this. I don't know, but I'm terrified. Religious movements can go one way or the other, and considering this one is based on Originium. Oh boy. Whew, this is gonna be something spicy in the future. But again, this is for the future. They're definitely building up. I mean, Hierda being connected to Priestess directly is definitely gonna come into play at some point. Now, how fast and when, again, only the future will tell. And until then, it's just a thing of be patient and wait, I guess, for all of us. But yeah, this is it for this chapter and the story in the chapter. And now it's time to go into the ramble and talk about the chapter in general. Meanwhile, for the entertainment in the background, I'm just gonna roll the B-roll footage of passing through the stages with the extra modifiers and everything. But for everybody else, if you're skipping ahead to the clip section, enjoy those. Not probably gonna be many there, because the cutscenes were pretty short, so that's all I can say. But yeah, this was a pretty good chapter overall. Pretty tight, as seen throughout multiple stories at this point. Story writing is getting better and better and better. And yeah, just the flow of the story was pretty well done as well, considering that they had to contend with the group with Doctor and Monster, then Amia's group and Mantra, and they also were following around the other small groups and Ursus personnel, Rankin's group as well. Rankin's group, who split into two separate groups as well. It still seemingly flew together very well. And honestly, I can also kind of see it from the perspective of writing myself the little blurbs for the recap. Considering I could recap every episode in very consistent small sentences instead of huge paragraphs like I have to do sometimes, I can tell that the story is quite tightly written, quite nicely put together. But yeah, outside of that, it was a heavy story, definitely. This was a very heavy chapter from start to finish. I mean, a rebellion is nothing easy. It's definitely nothing easy, especially in a regime like Ursus. And as pointed out through multiple comments throughout the episodes of Chapter 16, Chapter 16 that I was putting out throughout the last couple of weeks to a month. I should call out, or rather shout out to one specific person who was putting out a lot of comments, pretty much detailing all the like real world references that this chapter was doing throughout the series. So for anybody who is interested in those, just go through the last couple of episodes. I'm sure there's gonna be something in this episode as well in the comments. I'm sure, but throughout the last couple of episodes, if you go back through all of the individual parts, you're gonna see a multi-part series essentially from a person going by the handle of Kuzuki. I'm gonna just put small blurbs here on the screen so you can see it. But yeah, they've been putting out a lot of pretty much real-world references that this chapter was doing with years and other interesting points that I can only highly recommend to go through and read yourself, because it's pretty interesting. It's honestly pretty interesting how much in this chapter was actually referencing actual history. I mean, the whole rebellion, the workforce rebelling against the country is based on an actual rebellion from like roughly 100 years ago, more than likely, taking place in Russia. So, you know, there is that as well. And we are not even done with that, so that heavy topic is gonna keep on carrying us into the future. But yeah, check out Kuzuki's comments throughout the last couple of episodes. If there's gonna be a comment on this episode as well, do look down in the comment section and give them a thumbs up, because that is a lot of work to put together. That is a lot of work to put together when it comes to this kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you very much. One other quick comment I also want to shout out came, actually, I think it was on part 2. I have the picture in front of me right now. I don't remember from which part it was exactly. So apologies. I think the comment was on part 2, but it was in regards to Originium turning into a liquid, which was, or rather the crystalline structure turning into a liquid after it's drained of all the resources inside of it, which is an interesting phenomena, meaning that the outside structure, the crystal, is literally just kind of like the container, and the stuff that we see on the inside glowing is the matter absorbed, which is obviously making sense. But I was asking, like, wait, what? Are there crystals that can turn into liquid just like that when you change something around them? And one person who gave a very nice response on, I think it was on part 2 of the episode 16 voiceover, was Iron Moon Darkwing, who said, "Chemist here, liquid crystals exist in real life, in 2 forms even. There are liquid crystal phases, basically liquids that have some crystalline properties usually used in displays and lenses. And there are ionic liquids, quite literally salts. By the way, when I saw salts, I was like, oh my god, right. Salt. Salt is a crystal that turns. Yeah, right. Anyway, quite literally salts with an unusually low melting point. The latter consists of organic anions and cations, usually with dislocated charges which softens up the electrostatic interactions that keep the ions in their rigid crystalline structure. Perhaps originium undergoes a structural change when fully drained that allows for charge dislocation and drastically lowers its melting point. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. The moment you mentioned salts, by the way, the moment I saw the mention of salts, I was like, oh my god, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. But yeah, again, yeah, probably what you said. I would honestly say that is probably the case right there with the removing of any kind of material that has been stored inside of it, because at the end of the day, as we know about originium so far, it's literally disintegrating any matter that it comes into contact with, and it's storing that matter inside of it as a form of information, and it can be also distributed and manipulated into new forms. I mean, for people who play Enfield, you do know that we are using originium as a base resource over there to pretty much create different materials from seemingly almost out of nothing. But yeah, it's interesting. Regardless of anything else, it's definitely a very interesting phenomenon that is happening. I don't know if the liquid will serve any purpose or if it's just to show that there is more to originium as a resource, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens with all of that liquid now. I'm more honestly interested in what the hell Priestess is doing with all of that information that she seemingly scooped out of the big vein there in Ursus. I don't know. I don't know if she's gonna do that with all of them. But I have a couple of theories I do want to voice here. But first, Iron, thank you very much for that that comment about the crystal stuff. That was very very helpful and very educational. But yeah, anyway, if I would be to post a theory of what she is doing, I think what she is doing is part of the debate. Again, when we see the scene where Doc and Doc, Monster, and Xenia discover the message left behind, we hear the word debate, and obviously we know that at this point Priestess and the Doc are kind of locked into opposing sides, or rather one wants to see, Priestess wants to see if what the Doctor sees in the world of Terra has any merit. And she's probably just putting obstacles in place to see how the world is gonna react, how the Doctor is gonna react, and honestly, and this would be my actual theory. I honestly think the reason she's removing the originium, the big veins, because the big veins are the prime resource of originium for the big nations, essentially. I would say the big reason why she's removing it is to see how the world itself is gonna react. Because at the end of the day, the world is using a resource that is something that she and the Doctor have cooked up themselves. She probably just sees it as their own property, and seeing that the other nations are just using it as a power source, I don't know how that would make me feel when the original purpose of Originium was something completely different, right? So I don't know how it would make me feel when someone would take my invention and appropriate it to something completely different. But yeah, I don't know. My working theory is that she's just testing the world. She's testing the hope that the Doctor sees in the world, in these people. Maybe she just wants to see how they're gonna work it out if their main resource of energy and power just disappears overnight. Are they gonna adapt? Are they gonna find something else? What's gonna happen there? and how they're gonna move into the future. But again, that's just my theory. I don't know. I obviously don't know. I don't think anybody knows what the whole purpose is with her removing Originium. That is something that's gonna be a plot point in the future where there's more than likely gonna be some explanation to the whole thing. But we'll see. She might also be just building something. She might be using all of that information to just maybe rebuild Rhodes Island into what it was eventually, the ship. Into the spaceship that we saw in the previous chapter. She could also be maybe bringing back more people. Again, no idea. We'll see. But yeah, that's at least for the theory. But yeah, anyway, let's do the usual and talk about the characters of this chapter, because that way I'm gonna also talk about the different points of well, the plot of this chapter as we go through the whole thing. So first off, let's start with the with some of the minor characters as usual. So first off, Nikto. Nothing much to say about the guy outside of he seemed like he had some interesting potential in the dynamic. I mean, he did have an interesting dynamic with Rankin, almost seeing like the voice of reason between the two of them. But yeah, he kind of booked it out of there. He left everybody behind, and we don't really get a conclusion as to what happened to him. Outside of, he definitely ran into the army, or well, he definitely saw the army approaching, but what happened to him afterwards is up in the air, so who the hell knows. But yeah, definitely, I could honestly see it if people describe him as a coward, because he definitely seemed like a coward at the end, considering he ran away from the whole thing. But at the same time, can I really blame him for being a coward, considering that his background seems to be from like a more noble house upbringing, and then he got a ripathy, and then he got thrown into this kind of life. He still stuck with everybody. He still enjoyed life with everybody. I mean, he had a whole sequence where he was also just enjoying an evening and dancing with someone from the minor group, and yeah, I don't know. He seemed to be getting along with everybody, but yeah, when push came to shove, he definitely booked it out of there. So I don't know. He was, for the most part, the voice of reason for Rankin, even though I feel like it almost did nothing for Rankin. And we'll get to our boy in a bit. But yeah, I don't know. For now, he is a big whatevs until he reappears. he went MIA essentially. Then from the same group, Holly. I mean, I have nothing much to say about Holly outside of I just feel sorry for the guy. I just feel sorry for the old guy because of he already seemed like the saddest old man possible with that broken ear, that unique looking miner sprite they gave him, and then on top of it, Rankin let him deal with his own son. And the guy was already so mentally broken that he literally just kills his own son, and then it goes all downwards from there. Yeah, that was a shit decision. That was an absolute shit decision on Rankin's side. Even Rankin acknowledged that. But he also acted out of anger and frustration at that point when he gave Holly the go-ahead to do whatever the hell he wants with his own son. So, yeah, I'm just sad for Holly. It probably didn't have to happen. Something else could have happened with the guy, but who knows? Who knows? But anyway, the Grand Duchess Elizabeth. I still don't fully know how to form my opinion on her. She definitely did heinous shit. The flashback with Vetochki did describe her, or at least the nobles were describing her as crying over having to order the death of people, which is interesting. But she does seem to be just focused on protecting her own territory, and that's why she gave the armies just a go-ahead. Like, I'll give you guys pretty much the scene in my head is a thing of, I will give you guys the go-ahead to go and just deal with the mines, but leave my territory, like my city, alone and everything. Like, she seems to care about the city and her territory in general that she's part in, but if, again, push comes to shove and the army comes knocking at the door, she can't really say much or do much. So that's why I don't know how to properly put it together. She definitely panicked, even though she doesn't show it, but she definitely feels like she panicked after the news spread of not only the Orwain disappearing, but also that one of the Emperor's blades got literally killed in her territory, which immediately, you know... How would you feel if you were a mayor of a city and in your city, like a national federal agent suddenly winds up dead on the streets? What are you gonna do? Like, whoopsie. And especially if you're in a regime like Ursus is, which is pretty much Soviet. But yeah, holy shit. How do you react to that? It's like I can see her reactions and why she did stuff, but I can't really put my finger on where to place her. Is she gonna be an ally in the future? Is she gonna? I honestly hope she's, despite everything, that she's gonna reap the consequences of her actions. Cause good God, she closed her eyes and let thousands of people be killed essentially. So I hope she reaps what she saw, but. We'll see. We'll see. For now, I do not know what her actual allegiances might be, outside of the fact that she seems to be very protective, at least of the territory that she garners. But when it comes to protecting what she wants, I mean, I would say, honestly, now that I think about it, I would say the early description in the story where Amiya was depicting how it looks like that every building around the building where the Duchess is situated in, where the central point of the city is, seems to be pretty much kind of like a wall around the whole building. Kind of gives you the idea of how she probably sees the territory. Pretty much the central piece is what she needs to protect. Everything else around it is just a defensive line and can be probably sacrificed. But yeah, she definitely seems ruthless. But is she like a chaotic evil ally potential? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, outside of that, going back to the other camp a bit, we did see a couple of extra little people appear throughout the story, so I'm not gonna waste too much time here. Like Rosa and Absinthe appeared at the final part. I already set my piece with that. We'll see where that story leads when the next two Ursus stories drop. So for now, I have nothing to say there. They're definitely doing something. Nine Red and Tallulah are definitely moving. Like Raidian is definitely on the move. Again, we're gonna have to see where that is gonna lead to. Koshelna, again, we saw what she is doing, what the Black Snake is up to. Doing the usual of spreading the Black Snake ideology throughout Ursus. Pretty much a ideology camp of its own. We'll have to see where that leads. If I am actually wondering if we're ever gonna deal properly with the teacher, with Koshelna herself, or if we're just gonna be dealing with every single one of the other scales that is in Ursus besides Koshelna. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the Black Snake is just something you can't really kill completely. Again, like the Yellow King. You can't really kill the Yellow King. The Yellow King is an idea. It's an idea that exists in art and the written text that can't be just gotten rid of that easily. But yeah, we'll see. Interesting, regardless. I'm happy that we saw a bit more about Raidian in this story as well. Raidian did have a couple of appearances so far throughout the stories, nothing too crazy outside of doing her Raidian thing. But here we get a bit more about her background. Aloysius was pretty much straightforward in recognizing where and which army she was even from. But yeah, very interesting. But Raidian definitely has a history in the Ursus armies as I believe her files say something, or something in the game says that she was doing interrogations essentially on people, and that seems to have pushed her away essentially from Ursus itself. Makes sense. Something broke her along the way and she was not having it anymore. Honestly, that would be a very interesting operator record to give Raidian a background in the future if they ever do one. Just to show that crucial moment that breaks her and makes her leave Ursus behind, right? Would be a pretty interesting operator record. Crown Slayer! Very interesting. I mean, she doesn't really do much in the story outside of appearing for a couple of scenes. Like, she does behind the scenes work. But I'm very happy to see her in the story. And to see that, yeah, she's obviously part of Rhodes Island now as an operator. And coming here with the Truckers Union. Again, for people who missed it, the Trucker Union is something from the SIRACUSAN storylines, which I would recommend for more context. But yeah, very interesting that she came with from a Trucker Union. Honestly, I've seen people being perplexed of how she managed to sneak into Ursus with a truck and no one noticed her on the borders or anything. I mean, she could have legally entered the country at some point already. She could have already been here for a while and doing some deliveries or whatever the hell. She could have been here for SIRACUSAN purposes. Again, she's with a Trucker Union truck, which means that she was more than likely officially running some errands for SIRACUSA over there, and she was just here in the area, which would explain how she came into the country legally without anybody putting up a fuss. But yeah, moving around the country afterwards, honestly, it makes sense, because the armies at that point, when she appears to bail the doctor out and everybody, the armies at that point were already moving towards Griffenburg. So, and as we saw from the cutscene just earlier, the armies are very thin. They are showing a lot of force, but the force is very thin. it's literally the Ursian armies right now are literally, despite the fact that they have still a lot of vehicles and everything and stuff like that, it's still a principle. The thing that they're literally doing is place a couple of commanders on top of a hill, and behind the hill, millions of flags that look like there's a shit ton of people, but it's just flags. It's just flags and a couple of poles with empty helmets, essentially. Pretty much putting up a ruse. But yeah, the majority of the armies were situated around, or going towards Griffenburg anyway, and they were busy mopping up the northern territory for... with the miners in there. So yeah, she had ample room to maneuver through the whole thing. And it's Crown Slayer. She's a covered up. She can deal with that shit. Jeez. But yeah, very funny to see her. I wonder if she's gonna stay as part of the group moving into the next main story chapter, considering she's here right now. I would honestly welcome it. It would be very funny to see her interact with not just the core members of Rhodes Island, but mostly the doc. As a reminder, her first reaction, or her first interaction with the doc was quite something. that threat to the doctor's life. Also being part of the group that is actively working on bringing Calcit back. Oh, more importantly, right? I completely bypassed that in my head. More importantly, even though Calcit was the one who was giving Monster the command to attack and pin down Crown Slayer, it's still Monster, and Monster is here. I do want to see her in the next chapter, and I want to see her interact with Monster, because it's definitely gonna be an interesting interaction between the two of them. But anyway, moving on. Elysium. Nothing much to say, honestly. He did his Elysium things. He was there to deliver a couple of lines that were comic relief. I mean, the tail one was still fucking funny as hell. But yeah, he did his Elysium thing. He's a capable communications officer and, or rather operative, and I mean, he helped throughout the whole thing with communications. He was kind of like more in the background, honestly, outside of a couple of scenes, more in a support position. But he did some very important support work, and it's Elysium. It's as I called him one time in the past in the Ideal City story, stupid sexy Elysium. But yeah, anyway, Xenia, our new both operative and scientist from Ursus. I'll say this, I am happy that she at least has some moral compass compared to her other colleagues in the field who were just so happy to do, to immediately jump to like human experiments and everything, and she was wanting to go through the proper procedures first before getting to the stage of human experimentation, which is how science in the field usually works. You start from controlled lab experiments and you work your way up slowly until you're fully secure that when you test out weird freaky shit, when you get to the phase of seeing how it reacts to a human, you are absolutely sure it's not gonna kill the person. Good God. But yeah, I'm happy to see that she at least has a moral compass. Also has a bit of a connection back to certain elements. I mean, if I'm not misremembering the name, but the scientist that she was under in her past was Crownslayer's mom, which is also gonna be an interesting interaction if we're gonna see anything in the future from these two. And yeah, she also has a bit of a connection to tsit, so I don't know if they're gonna keep her around for the next chapter of the main story. I presume so, because I don't see us returning to Rhodes Island and then going back to Ursus to deal with whatever the shit is happening in Griffinburg. I think the next chapter is literally just gonna continue from where we left off, just moving into Griffinburg. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. She is definitely interesting as a character, and I do wanna see more what they're gonna do with her. Alright, speaking of Ursus people, Aloysius Vasilyevna? I think that was it. Yeah, Vasilyevna Gorchikova. Right, interesting. Again, the final cutscene shows quite the interesting developments with her. She definitely got impressed by Rhodes Island, and she definitely trusts Rhodes Island as well, seemingly, as she shared very confidential information with us and did not disclose the information that she shared said information with Rhodes Island to Vit, which is interesting. I wonder if she will, however, say anything directly to the Tsar, if there's gonna be in the future a scene between her and the Tsar, and if she's gonna be completely open with him and deliver the information. But yeah, she is definitely an interesting character, and she seems to be a pretty upright character as well. And speaking of the whole Aloysius and Vit stuff, yeah, they are definitely part of a faction. Even Vit himself seems to be part of the same faction that is trying to push for these new I don't know, what would you call them, reforms and changes in the country to change Ursus to be more appropriate with modern times, especially now that we have that they have lost Originium as a prime resource. At least they lost the big vein. There's still smaller pockets of Originium, but that is definitely not gonna compensate for the big vein. So that's interesting. But yeah, Vit seems to be on the same side as the Tsar, which I guess makes sense with him. He's pretty loyal to the leadership. I can't tell if he maybe has his own agenda in the whole thing or not, but at least for now he seems to be part of the whole yeah, changes need to happen kind of deal. I mean, he was kind of along those lines already, even in the past when they showed him a tiny bit, but here, pardon, here it becomes just more, what's the word I'm looking for? More upfront, essentially, with that information. So we'll see. But yeah, Aloysius is definitely an interesting person who I don't know if they're building up for her to be playable. I mean, she is someone who is of the... I mean, she's in a pretty high position. She's in a pretty high position. I think her... What was her actual rank? Her actual rank was lieutenant, I believe. If I'm not misremembering. Either lieutenant or... Yeah, sergeant. Sergeant was what she introduced herself with, and was the very thing that Raidian was kind of mocking her with the entire time. I still don't know if Raidian was mocking her, because every time Raidian would call her sergeant, the text would be italic, essentially. I don't know if that meant that she was calling her sergeant, which is why I never committed to it. If she called her sergeant in Ursus, which I believe is the case. Otherwise, why would it be italic? Or if she called her mockingly sergeant because she already figured out potentially that that Aloysius is someone of a higher position, maybe. I mean, Raidian knows Ursus politics a bit better than anybody else, so it would make sense. But yeah, she was, or rather is a lieutenant. So yeah, interesting character regardless. I wonder if, or rather, I wonder how much of a role she's gonna play going forward. If she's even gonna be appearing in future chapters, or they're gonna forget about her. We'll see, I guess. We'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with her, because right now, again, she's very enamored, seemingly, with Rhode Island, and very forthcoming towards Rhode Island, so that's very nice. And we'll see where that leads us into the future. Anyway, moving on to our next big character of the story, Rankin. Holy hell, man. That guy went down like a legend. I wonder, considering again what we saw with the ending there, with that cutscene where we saw the miner find the list with names and the lamp and decides to carry it into Griffinburg. I do wonder if that's how his name is gonna get far and wide known between people and everything, and gonna be carried into the future. But yeah, again, one of the things we're gonna have to see in the future what happens to it. But yeah, what a guy. I'm honestly kind of sad for him the most, because he essentially got pushed a tiny bit, even though he was already seemingly starting a movement in the mines and trying to move out. He got very much manipulated by the Urotstvo to move forward and be blind to the dangers that are ahead of them. And yeah, it led to what it led. He is more than likely blown to bits. Like, good God, he is definitely blown to bits. But yeah, outside of that, he was definitely something else. He was fun to voice throughout the chapter, especially that one line that I do still hope to this day no neighbor heard me yell. The whole speech that was pretty long and became louder and louder as it went on. I really hope no one heard that. Plus yelling during the combat with the with the Emperor's blade. Oh God. But yeah, he did big things, and he did very, very hard to make decisions, and a lot of them did come back with karma, especially the one with Hawley. That one definitely came back to bite him in the ass a lot. Karma came along with the entire army of the Ursus government. Good God. But yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, I can't really say much about him outside of that. I feel a bit sad for the guy, because he did have good goals for the people. He definitely had good goals, but all of them seem to have been probably pushed along by the Urotstvo, manipulating him behind the back, and not really putting ideas into his head, but making him believe that they can achieve whatever they want. I mean, not a bad idea to have in your head, but I feel like that just made him blind to the danger that was in front of him. And the thing happened that happened with that. Again, we'll see what his name is gonna carry into the future. If there's gonna be a follow-up to the guy carrying his lamp and the names into Griffinburg, we're definitely gonna see more about him. Again, it is the name that does get mentioned amongst other names that perished, of people who have perished in OG Arknights at the very beginning of Enfield. So, yeah. That's all I can say about that. That's all I can say about that. Alright, but speaking of Rankin's group, Vetochki! Probably one of my, as a character, probably one of my highlights of this chapter. That whole sequence with her waking up from the illusion and becoming more steadfast and helping to wake up the other miners and leading them away from the Urotstvo. God, that was such a cool moment. Such a cool moment, like getting to gripes with the reality, like facing the death of her parents and the trauma that came with it, and her grandmother's death as well. That pretty much happened along the same lines, pretty much on the same day, seemingly. Yeah, that is hard. That is very hard, especially because she saw everything, and she was even younger than she is here right now. Plus being ripped away from her home, as she stated, the mines were their home, she knew nothing else. So being ripped away from all of that, facing her parents' death and her grandmother's death as well, and then standing tall, getting involved, moving people along and leading people out of the danger, and then kind of participating in leading people into the danger. I mean, that required guts. That last scene with the miners, good God, that is a powerful scene with them. Them only with torture standing up to the Ursin armies, even if they are vastly underpowered at this point. The army, that is. Still, that requires guts. But yeah, Vetochki is probably my personal little highlight of this chapter, and her just getting to gripes with everything. And yeah, that was stupidly good. That was stupidly good around that. Also, from a voice acting perspective, she was probably even if she seems like the most complicated character to voice, I liked voicing her because of the stammering. I could, with the stammering, hide sort of when I fuck up a scene. The stammering helped. Thank you, Vetochki. Fuck's sake. Sorry. But yeah, I'm not joking. Having a character that stammers like that really helps mask, and it also helps if you unintentionally fuck up a sentence, but you're stammering the character's lines because the character stammers them. It helps sell it a tiny bit. But yeah, it was an interesting character to voice, definitely, and overall pretty good character for this chapter. Mantra! Man, I did appreciate how much they both integrated Mantra into the story itself, but also throughout the story then used the opportunity with her involvement to just showcase her past, to just show how much where she comes from. Essentially, I haven't read her file yet, so I'm probably gonna do that while this video is gonna be either uploading or rendering later. But yeah, very, very interesting. So she comes from Sargon and seemingly was a Padisha at some point, which for those of you who don't know, Padisha pretty much means she was a leader in Sargon. she was of a very high position, and she ditched that because people wanted her power, seemingly, and she came then to Ursus. I do appreciate the thing at the beginning that they showed, how she lost her actual voice, because she was not mute from the beginning. She overused her power when she was fighting the Emperor Blade and keeping the Blade in check, and the overuse of her power actually pushed her to go above and beyond, and that had the cause and effect of her losing her voice. So nowadays she can either talk with her mind directly and tell people how she thinks, which is a bit of an intrusive method, which I understand why she avoids doing a lot of times, and has someone who is always with her talk in her stead. Yeah, I do appreciate what they show at the beginning. And also, just to clarify, no, Mantra is not a Jurodstvo. She is not a Jurodstvo. I don't know if we're gonna see an actual Jurodstvo at some point, because the current one is something completely different. It's definitely something completely different. But yeah, Mantra's showcase in this chapter was definitely gas. That was definitely something else. Really liked it as well as she's a very fun character to voice and play around with the voice effects as well to sell the image of speaking in your head. And yeah, all I can say is I enjoyed her showcase in this chapter. It was pretty good. And I don't know how much of a role she's gonna play going forward in the story, but we'll see. She's definitely gonna remain as part of the Ursus group, I would say. Speaking of Mantra, her opponent for this chapter being the Jurodstvo itself, but this Jurodstvo being a bit of a... Oh? What is this demon? But yeah, this Jurodstvo is very interesting. They do describe it as, or rather itself, described itself as something of a that it has a connection to the experiments that are being done on the Emperor's blades to pretty much turn them into what they are, pretty much a union of human and some shard of demons that is being fused together in some kind of crazy way that they undergo there. But her seemingly being connected to the whole, or it being seemingly connected to that whole thing, I do wonder what it means. Either she is some kind of leftover material from the experiments and manifests in that way, or just something completely different, or she is the origin point from where they are getting this demonic material from. Maybe, I don't know. Definitely good to keep an ear and eye out for whenever that returns, because the Jurodstvo is not dead. This creature is gonna return somehow, some way. And yeah, like I said earlier as well, I do feel that the Jurodstvo is definitely very heavily inspired both by a Lovecraftian mythos and a bit of SCP cognitive hazard kind of deal. It seems to be more powerful the more people are flocking to it, and the more people believe in it, like focusing their minds on it, that she can then or it can then probably use to enhance its own powers. But yeah, regardless of it, it's a threat. It's a crazy threat that needs to be kept away from everything else. This is honestly why the world of Terra needs something like the SCP Foundation to keep these weird cognitive and other weird threats under lock and key. An Arknight's SCP containment breach game when. Yeah, but as an enemy, definitely quite the opponent, and wonder what they're gonna do with it. If it's gonna appear in the upcoming, Ursus stories, or if it's just gonna be left here for this chapter for the time being. We'll see. For now, there's really nothing much happening with it. Alright, our final 3 for this chapter. First off with Amiya. Definitely Amiya growing into a fine leader, as we see. And not just her, we definitely see both a slight change in how both her, the Doc, and Monster are acting now after Kal'tzit's passing, essentially. And how they're more self-secure and are more... What's the word I'm looking for? Pretty much doing stuff without thinking about it for too long. Like, they're more decisive. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Like, decisive in their actions. Like, they're moving. There doesn't seem like too much of insecurities in it or second guessings in their actions. They just seem to be like way more self-secure and more secure in the whole thing. Secure. My brain is dying right now. more aware of the shoes that they need to fill. They pretty much are aware of how much Kal'tzit was carrying on her back, and now that all 3 of them are pretty much just without her, of course, and are now responsible for all the tasks that she also had to carry. I think all 3 of them became way more secure in themselves, like in their own like mind. And I would say this chapter pretty much shows that very well. Monster and Doc already had a moment to bond together during the Laterano mission, so we've seen that already in that 3rd Laterano story that released right after chapter 15 was released. So they already had a lot of time to bond over there, which was very wholesome, but also absolutely hilarious for people who have not seen that story and are catching up with the Laterano story still. Just you wait until you get to that part. I'm not gonna spoil anything here, but was definitely quite the sight to see, and made me very happy to see the 2 of them interact more, especially the way we left them at the end of chapter 15, where both Doc and Monster the Doc was kinda avoiding Monster for the most part, but yeah, the major development between the 2 of them happened during the Laterano story, where they finally had an opportunity to both work together and be mostly alone together and just work things out. So it was pretty wholesome, pretty wholesome, and we see just the extension of that here in this chapter. So that was very nice. And again, just seeing that Doc and Monster are just going around and doing stuff is very wholesome. very, very nice. How much they are in tune with each other. And I mean, to be also fair, whenever the Doc would go somewhere and Kal'tzit would accompany the Doc, Monster would be running security for both of them, but mostly for the Doc. But yeah, she's pretty much just taking over the roles that she was already kinda assigned to in a way. And yeah, Amiya, just like the other 2, definitely more self-secure and more down to what she needs to do and what shoes she needs to fill. And it definitely shows her bringing up the sword again, and without hesitation swinging it to stop the approaching armies and stop their shelling as well, their bombardment. That was definitely something else. Like, good god, this whole chapter has been pretty much a callback to chapter 8. I mean, to also make the funny thing, yes, this is chapter 16 and the last time was chapter 8. So stupidly funny. It's so stupidly funny. But yeah, also as a reminder, Amiya does not need, or rather, Amiya always sorta has the sword available to her. It's only the fact that she needs to be surrounded and absorb a lot of anger and negative emotion for the sword to actually manifest. That thing is being nurtured and powered up by the anger that is surrounding Amiya. But again, we did saw quite the character growth from Amiya here, where she didn't flinch back essentially from being surrounded by negative emotions, but accepted them as they are and made use of them essentially to save people, which is definitely character growth, if you ask me. Pardon, my voice is completely going. Been talking for a while. But yeah, definitely shows character growth again. Again, she's also way older here. Way older than she was last time, and there's the whole Victorian arc that went by on top of everything else. And a lot of stuff that probably happened between chapters 14 and 15, because there's still like almost a 3-year gap, well, 2.5-year gap at least, between those two chapters, where Amiya doesn't really appear in side stories, neither does the dog, but we do get a lot of like small increments of they're doing this and that kind of details. So, you know, things have been happening. They've been learning, they've been growing, and it's nice to see how much every doctor's daughter has grown, right? We're all happy to see Amimi be a self-secure, tiny little adult. She's just hitting her 20s. Oh, she's growing. She's growing into a fine leader. I wonder honestly how much the story, or rather the timeline for this game, is gonna always go forward, because I do want to see her more grow up as a person, and I do wonder how far they're gonna push it. Because at the end of the day, she does have a ripathy, which is the sad part to remember. But yeah, anyway, this... Oh, Jesus, my voice is really going right now. But yeah, this chapter was huge. Pretty well written. Very depressing. But I am looking forward to seeing what the next one is gonna be regardless. And what we're gonna be keep on doing here in Ursus itself. And, well... Chapter 17 is gonna carry the torch. There is a playable character coming with Chapter 17. And that... I'm not gonna name it here. And I hope no one names it here in the comment section as well. Probably someone will. But I hope no one will, honestly. But... there is a playable character coming in the next chapter, which is a clear signal of what we're gonna be doing in the next chapter after this one. And all I can say to that is, I wish sometimes some playable characters, at least main story playable characters, would be introduced a chapter after, as playable versions. A chapter after a big thing happens. Because I'm fine with what is happening, well, supposedly happening with said playable character in the next chapter. I would have loved it if that playable character would have maybe become a thing a chapter later, and they would have left the whole thing as a surprise. Because this kind of... I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent, but I would have honestly loved it a tiny bit more if it would have been left as a surprise, or... you know, kind of like a little, hey, that happened thing, finally. But we'll see. I'm intentionally keeping myself vague for people who are following with the series in, you know, in future installments and do not know what I'm talking about. Because there's always gonna be the people who are gonna be watching this, right, who are gonna watch this like a year from now, when you're maybe new to the game or something and you don't know what patch brought what, or which chapter brought what, who as a playable character. That's why I try to be vague. But yeah, anyway, regardless of anything, I am looking forward to the next chapter and anything else that comes next. So for now, all I can say is, hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed the ramble here as well. If you did so, please consider leaving a like, it will help a lot. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you want to support me more directly, memberships are open on the channel. Like I always say, no video will be behind a membership, it's purely there for support, so thank you very much to all the members already doing so, much appreciated. And I hope you all have a fantastic day wherever you are. Enjoy the clips, there's not gonna be many, but enjoy the clips, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye. Oh hi. Where some deity Griffinberg? Oh, we're back in this place. Yep, there's Vit. Oh, also I just realized this is a Lone Trail soundtrack playing in the background right now. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Alright, let's see. If I told you there was a way to bring Tsit back to life, what would you do? What? Are you joking? How is that possible? Is this Tsit like the Fae of legend? Able to return to life whenever she wants? I mean, technically at one point she could do it. She could do it by herself, with the help of the Gemini process that is part of Monster. But yeah, not when the entire body disappears. There's something has to be left, I think, for that. Oh fuck! Now we're back at at Cachet 2.0. Okay. The 2nd and 7th armies have been mobilized in response to Griffinberg's request. I don't think Cachet will like that. Cachet is kind of nurturing the youth right now with God, I want to say his because I know the old Cachet, but with her position, I guess. Oh boy. Anyway, she went to the mines, huh? Okay. Oh! It's the Teddy Bear Squad. Oh my God! Finally. Holy shit! I thought they were gonna be part of this chapter from way earlier on, considering we were going to to Ursus, but that never happened until now. All right. I guess this is gonna be the bridge into that side story that recently released in the Chinese client, the one with Zima altar. Okay. Oh, is that all we get for the Teddy Bear Squad? I guess, yeah. Okay, so they were on mission somewhere in Ursus, which makes sense. That was the last time we heard about them. Or rather, the last time we heard about them was in chapter 15, and they were going back to Ursus, which is why I expected them to be actually part of this story. But yeah, I guess they kept it for that side story that's gonna be linked to this and maybe the next story chapter. I'm presuming we're gonna be staying in Ursus a while still, considering the whole sarcophagus thing is still not resolved. The victor displays the emblem of the vanquished for his vanity, but he will forever stand in the shadow of the vanquished if he cannot cast it anyway. Yakov Petrov, penned in prison in the autumn of 1076. Oh yeah, the revolution begins. And is that it? Yep. Abnormal Spectrum episode 16 end. Okay, yeah, this is gonna lead into the next chapter now, and the side story with... Oh wow, it just ends like that. There's not even a post... Wow, there's not even a post scene! Whoa! Wow, there's not even the usual post scene that's after the title drop. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that story definitely leads now into what's it called? Into the side story with Zima, and more than likely the next chapter. Okay, also the flag. altered flag. The flag of Ursus with the mark of reunion painted over it. Oh, I didn't even notice the reunion mark. I looked at this flag already, but I didn't read the text. Defacing the national flag is punishable by death according to flag law of Ursus. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. I think in pretty much every single... And actually, no. I think in most countries, at least countries that have free speech, it's allowed to burn a flag if it constitutes free speech and is part of a protest or something. Like if it's not meant to be offensive, but to signal frustration with the government or something. I don't know the exact laws, but I think it's in a lot of places it's a thing you can do if it's part of a protest, of course. If you're just doing it like that, then oh boy, that I think then breaks laws. Anyway, the nobles of Gryffindor see this symbol as a grave threat, but it was from their hubris that it came about in the first place. Yes. Okay, so that marks all the items that are required, and you have 4 cutscenes. Okay, well, this will be interesting to see how long these are. Well, let's begin with the first one. Alright, EG7, incoming mail. Rankin, we made it. The village near the Ursus Casimir's border where the Union is. This warm, egalitarian, idealistic place. Aha, did they actually? Yeah, they never... I mean, they insinuated that Rankin and the people at the... Oh, wow. Oh, that is a new background drop. Barren farmlands, Ursus Casimir's border. Happy peasant woman. Yeah, anyway, to finish my thoughts. They never really confirmed if Rankin and the other miners who were at the outpost died. They did show them getting bombarded at that scene, but I do actually wonder if they died in a bombardment. Anyway, let's see. It's Mr. Lula at 9. Hi. Wow! Holy shit, casual farmer girl Tallulah. That kind of really suits her, I'm not gonna lie. And of course she has to be in her typical, everything on me has to be black and gray with a dash of red. The drip has to match the hair color and the horns. Okay, casual Tallulah. Wow, farm girl Tallulah. Please don't torch the fields. By accident, you fire fiend. Alright. And 9 is still 9. Come on! Come on! Come on! You could have at least put 9 into a different outfit as well. Come on! For fuck's sake. Oh well, at least one of the two had an update. Oh, is this gonna be a CG? Oh shit! She is in casual there in the back. What the fuck, game? Come on! She looks way more in a casual outfit there in the back than what she looks on her normal sprite. Unless that is her normal outfit and it just looks way more casual because of the lighting or some shit like that. Alright, also animated again. Wow, very nice. Actually, no, yeah, it is her normal outfit. It just looked different from that angle. And in the lighting, it is just her normal outfit. Come on, you could have also used a new outfit. Really?
There was a massacre in the far north.
Oh boy. Oh, that's gonna make the Lula move. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So yeah, the village is real. They have established their roots, but they are also preparing to move upon Gryffindor if need be. Okay. Okay, this is setting up for something. I wonder if it's setting up for the next main chapter or if it's setting up for the side story, but I guess we'll see when that comes around. Whoa! Hi, shield guard! Hello, mister. Uh-oh, you guys are in big doo-doo. You guys are in very big doo-doo if the shield guards are escorting you. Uh-oh. Also, this is the first time they're showing a shield guard since chapter, I think what like 7 and 8? Or was it just 8? I can't remember. I think it was both chapters where they first showed the shield guards properly. But those were the guerrilla shield guards that were with Patriot, so they weren't the absolute same model. So this is the appropriately dressed with fresh gear and everything shield guard compared to the old guys that we met. The old guys had busted up gear and used up gear. These guys are fresh out of the oven. The old style buildings and the writhing faces of the dead look the same as they did when the city sank. And they're not gonna show it, you assholes! Reconstruction district, far north Ursus. Okay. Okay. A sunken city, huh? Oof. They're building up for something. They're really building up for something. Ah, okay, so this is what was mentioned earlier. This is where Koshelna ended up. Okay. Hello, Kashay. How's it going, Kashay? This lamp without a name, and those people without names. Okay. They're really, with these cutscenes, preparing like a shit ton of little things that are gonna come into fruition at some point. That lamp will play a role in the whole thing. Actually, hold on. Was the lamp in here? No, the lamp was not in here. The lamp is... Is it still in my inventory, actually? It is, but yeah, you can't read the number on the lamp here. Okay, fine. Oh, this was a short one. Okay, interesting. So... the armies that were sent out, that were literally going after the miners, were sent out with minimal gear. And very old and decrepit gear as well, huh? At least this ship that the officer and his crew are on. It's pretty much... That really sets a interesting picture, cause on the outside, the troops and the little vehicles and everything, the way it was deployed, is very intimidating, but on the inside, the ships and everything were probably, at least according to this, were probably manned by a skeleton crew. Well, poker face is everything sometimes, right? Holy shit, yeah, Ursus is in a freaking shit spot. Which, to be fair, is not that far away from Russia at these times. Like, intimidation tactics are pretty much everything in some situations. You might be a giant country even back then, but talking about real Russia here. But sometimes you just need to poof out your chest and pretend like you have even more than you have, even though the things you have are non-existent, essentially. All right, well, off to the last one. I can sense that it's only a poor soul who has suffered much. Oh, it's not... Oh, oh no. She is doing her thing. Oh no, she's doing her thing. She's going around the place. Uh-oh. Oh boy, of course you had to show up. Alright then. She's taking you to the assimilated universe, bitch. Well, rip you, brave souls. You are getting disintegrated into your individual atoms stored inside of a fucking flash drive that is a crystal. Rip. Rip. At least the knowledge of your life and your physical data will be preserved, I guess. Good God. Is this where it ends? Yup. Fuck's sake. Oh boy! Well, Hierda is amassing people for Priestess, I guess, and her stuff. Boy, this is gonna be bad. Priestess doesn't even care what Hierda is doing. She will not even, or rather, let's put it this way, she will not even give a fucking shit about the fact that Hierda is basically creating a religious movement with all of these people. She will not give a shit about that. But in a sense, she will pretty much have an army under her fucking thumb. I'm getting a headache already. Getting a headache. Oh boy.